The first to die. The following story is a detailed account of the demise of Travis Munson, Chicken Lee's first execution. Viewer discretion is advised. Travis Munson stumbled out of Bar 99 with a busted lip and a busted ego. His breath reeked of bottom-shelf bourbon and decades of failure. His shirt clung to him, soaked in sweat and spilled beer, while a jagged tear in the fabric exposed a hairy gut smeared with dried blood. A busted bar stool lay behind the cracked glass door, victim of his latest outburst. He'd tried to swing it at the jukebox, saying something about a freak on a trike in the fog. The bartender, tired of babysitting washed-up locals with no future, gave him one last warning. Go home, Travis, before something finally decides to shut you up for good. Travis had laughed at that, a dry, gravel-caked cackle. It bounced off the wooden walls of the bar and into the night like a dying crow. He wiped the blood from his mouth and lit a cigarette with a trembling hand, the flame flickering against the thick fog pressing in from all sides. Crazy bastard, he muttered to himself, pulling his flannel tighter as the night chilled. His boots crunched through gravel and broken glass as he staggered down Highway 99 south towards his trailer. As he stumbled down the highway, the fog became thicker, denser. It started to wrap around his ankles, clung to him like it was alive. By the time he reached Lil T's Market, something shifted. A shadow darted just past the corner of his eye, quick, low, and wrong. From across the road came a faint sound. Squeak. He snapped his head toward it. Nothing, just fog. He let out a breath, pulled his collar up against the cold and kept walking. Toward the post office. Travis took the shortcut behind the post office. Quick cut through the parking lot, a quiet drift past the walnut orchard, crossed the alley behind the bank, and he'd be back at his trailer. That path had served him for years. Drunk, hungover, or bleeding. It didn't matter. He knew it blind. Same cracked potholes underfoot, same busted street lamp, flickering overhead like a dying star. Same crooked no trespassing sign, hanging sideways from one rusted nail, always pointing at him like a warning he never listened to. But tonight everything felt wrong. The fog wasn't just heavy, it was alive. It pulsed, it shifted, it watched. The alley swallowed sound. No chirping crickets, no wind. Even his own footsteps seemed muted, like he was walking through the folds of something vast and muffled, something that didn't want him there. He paused near the old dumpster, the same one he used to piss behind as a teenager. Its side was smeared with grease and something darker. Black feathers clung to the lid. Scratch. A sharp scraping noise echoed behind him, not loud, but deliberate. Travis turned, scanning the mist. Nothing. Damn cats, he grumbled. Always digging through. Ding, ding, ding. He froze. It wasn't a cat. It was a bell, a tricycle bell. Soft, offbeat, like it had been broken and rewired by something that didn't understand how toys worked. The sound rang through the alley like a lullaby from a dead child's bedroom. Travis's cigarette dropped from his lips. Lee, he whispered. Silence. Then the sound of feathers rustling. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. It wasn't flapping. It was writhing. Something flickered past the edge of his vision. White, fast, twitching. Not funny, he barked, voice cracking. He turned again and saw him. A shape stepped out of the shadows, half wrapped in fog. At first, Travis thought it was a man, but no man stood like that. No man moved like that, like his joints bent in the wrong directions, and his bones were misaligned inside the skin. His clothes were the same, tucked-in polo shirt, pleated slacks, and those mismatched Velcro shoes. But now they were torn, soaked, and clinging to a body that looked wrong, short, fat, and somehow melting into itself, like his flesh was absorbing the fabric, swallowing it whole. His hair was matted with mud and blood, shaped like a warped rooster's comb. His face, torn, dirty, rotten, blood caked into the creases. That same beak-shaped nose, But now it was more bone than skin, curved like a hawk's and jagged at the edges. And the smell. Wet feathers, burnt metal, and something else. Something dead, like an animal carcass left to rot in the August sun. But it was the eyes that made Travis stumble back. Not red, not glowing, dull. Dull white eyes, like peeled grapes left out too long. No light, no focus. As if whatever used to live inside had been hollowed out with a spoon. Behind him, they came. Chickens, but not normal ones. These were wrong. Featherless in patches, skin raw and pink like boiled flesh, heads cocked at unnatural angles, their eyes glassy and white. They stood in absolute silence, dozens of them, watching. You're dead, Travis whispered. They burned you. The figure stepped forward. His voice sounded like someone whispering through a fan. You first. He raised his arm. The swarm hit like a wall of knives. Travis turned to run, but the fog wrapped around his legs like wet rope. Chickens launched from the dark, sharp beaks jabbing at his calves, his back, his throat. Each peck felt like a syringe filled with ice. One chicken slammed into his shin and knocked him down. His head cracked against the brick wall, splitting the skin above his eyebrow. He screamed, kicked, punched the air in a frenzy. Feathers filled his mouth. Claws tore at his ears. A beak punctured his cheek. Another stabbed his palm. Something metallic pierced his thigh, then his ribs, then his shoulder. His blood painted the bricks in jagged, frantic splatters. He crawled, but it was like crawling through glue. Then it stopped. The chickens froze, every last one of them, mid-motion, watching, breathing. A single gray chicken waddled forward. Its eyes were clouded, milky. Its beak gripped something heavy and rusted, a bent brass plate. Lee stepped beside it and took the plate. He knelt next to Travis, his face so close Travis could see the rotting feathers stuck to his lips. First place, Lee whispered. Death never forgets a winner. And with a sudden brutal thrust, he jammed the brass plate deep into Travis's chest. There was a sickening crunch of cartilage, and then silence. Travis gasped, choking on blood. Lee stuffed a clump of feathers into his mouth, one final humiliation, a silencing. And as the fog closed in, as his life ebbed away, Travis's eyes drifted to the last thing he would ever see. That rusted adult tricycle, its wheels spinning slowly in the mist. They found him the next morning, slumped behind the post office, mouth stuffed with feathers. His body was punctured in dozens of places, random, erratic, unnatural. Blood smeared across the wall like frantic brushstrokes. Jammed into his chest was the brass plate. First place, Adult Bicycle Division, 4th of July Parade. The sheriff said it was a wild animal, a rabid dog maybe, but no animal brings its own army, and no animal leaves behind a trophy. Thank you for stepping into the shadows with us. If you enjoyed this tale, subscribe to Sinister Phantom Tales and make sure to like and share this story with your bravest friends. New hauntings emerge every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so stay close. The next tale may be darker than the last. Every story you hear is original, born from the blood-soaked soil of Tehama County, the cursed woods of Lassen National Forest, and the ancient secrets beneath Mount Shasta. These are not just stories. These are sinister phantom tales. Sleep tight.